Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the 4am Crew Podcast. I'm your host, Cole. Alongside me are Dom and Colton. Today's podcast will be Friday's Sports Forecast. Be sure to give us a follow on our social medias, Twitter at the 4am Crew Pod, Instagram at the 4am Crew Podcast. We bring these podcasts to YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. Make sure to give us a sub on YouTube. You can search us at the 4am Crew Podcast, and be sure to give us a 5-star rating and a follow. So how did you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving yesterday?
Dom, you want to go first?
I mean, it's Thanksgiving, man. Nothing wrong with it. Holiday dedicated to food. It's my kind of holiday.
Well, how was the turkey?
I like it.
The turkey was great. Turkey's great, but don't forget about the stuffing. That's one right there. That's tier 1.
Stuffing is terrible. Stuffing is terrible.
I walked right past the green bean casserole.
Yep.
Green bean. Okay, you're tweaking on the green bean casserole. You get some crusted onions on top of that. That shit is fire. You're tweaking.
No, why would you put one of the most dog shit vegetables and put it in a casserole?
Boys. I know we like talking about food, but we really got to get to the sports here real soon.
Let's save this for Wednesday.
How about you tell us? Yeah, save it for Wednesday. Colton, tell us how your Thanksgiving was. Cole, after that, and then let's get right into the sports.
So it was pretty good. We have a relatively huge family. I think the head count this year was like 50.
50? What the?
God damn.
Yeah, not even shitting. Like, we're a mix of the two ethnicities that have like really big families. We're Italian and Greek, so there's a lot of people there. And the stuffing was obviously bomb. My dad deep fried a turkey, which was freaking good.
I heard about the deep frying the turkey. Like, dude, I gotta try it because a lot of people say it's really good.
Yeah, it's good. I don't know if it should be hyped up or anything, but it is good. But sweet potato casserole was obviously bomb.
Sweet potatoes are trash.
Okay, says the guy that likes green beans.
Hey,
what the fuck?
Hey, enough of the food, guys. Enough of the food.
Okay, but yeah. Other than that, just chilled, watched Dallas get their fucking shit chewed out.
We'll talk about that later in the show as well.
Yeah, it was a nice day. How about you, Cole?
I mean, enough with the food Thanksgiving. We'll talk about it more on Wednesday. But let's get into our NCAA football.
So you don't want to tell us about your Thanksgiving?
No,
that's fine.
No, I want to save it. I want to save it.
All right, whatever.
We got some juicy stuff for Wednesday.
Get into the college football preview. Let's go. Get into it. Let's go.
Okay, so who we starting off with first? How do you guys?
The Iron Bowl, man. That's who we're starting off with. It's always one of the biggest games on the last week of regular season college football. We're talking Bama, Auburn, and the implications here are pretty massive.
Do or die for Bama here. I feel like they have to win this game to prove to their committee that they are a team to be in the Final Four. You know, they have to win this game.
Definitely must win. A loss gives them 2 losses, takes them out of the college football playoff hunt. But they have to win big. This is their last impression for the committee to see. There's no championship game for them. They are not in the SEC championship. They have to win big here because this is their final statement with their new quarterback in Mac Jones. They have to win big. This is one of Georgia's biggest wins in their resume. So if Bama can get this on their resume, this can put them up there with Georgia on their resume.
Yeah, with Tua going down, it's gonna have to be a big step up from the backup QB.
Oh yeah, you know the committee has looked at that,
and he's had one game under his belt. So now that he's got this game to look forward to, it's a big step up. It's one game. They played what was it, Western South Carolina or something like that.
It's Western Carolina. It's not tier 1 defense.
So he's gonna step up against number 15 Auburn. It's the Iron Bowl too. You got to think. One of the teams could be unranked, and they could blow out the top tier team. This is one of the most competitive rivalries besides the Michigan and Ohio State game. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I think that they really need to pop out here. So let's talk about that Michigan and Ohio State game. Cole, you're a big Buckeyes guy, so let's hear your take on it.
So honestly, I feel like the Buckeyes are probably the most dominant team in college sports right now. I mean,
really,
every single team besides the Penn State. Okay, the Penn State game, Ohio State was out of the waters. If Fields doesn't fumble on the second as he's on the goal line, and if they don't have their 2 mistakes, Penn State may not have even scored that game. So you take that into factors that if they don't force fumbles on themselves, Ohio State blows them out probably 30-0, I would say. And then LSU's they have what? They have the better schedule right now. And Ohio State is to the committee right now. Ohio State is the better, well-rounded team. You got to think.
Yeah, for sure.
You have 3 Heisman contenders on that team right now.
Yeah.
And they're going against Michigan. Michigan hasn't won in the past, I think, 7 seasons against Ohio State now. And
I know a lot of people going into this game are taking Michigan lightly, but don't, because these last 4 weeks they've really turned it on, and they've really started to impress in the way they win. They've started to look like they're clicking, and they're actually looking like a very good football team that people expected at the beginning of the season.
And you also got to think, they're in the big house. It's not home at Ohio State where Penn State was, and Wisconsin. This is going to be the first on-the-road big game. And it's gonna be interesting how Fields is gonna handle it, because he's still, he's a rookie. I think he's a freshman this year, because I think he redshirted at Georgia. So it's just like his first road game that's gonna be big for him. I don't know how he's gonna how it's gonna affect him, but we'll definitely see in the first couple of drives in that first quarter.
Oh yeah, those first couple of drives are gonna be huge to get under his belt. But yeah, the Michigan is coming off a great 4 games, starting with the Notre Dame game a few weeks ago. They blew them out of the waters, and that's where they really clicked and turned it around. Then they beat Maryland, which it's Maryland. It's pretty much a better version of Rutgers, which is not saying anything. Then they beat Michigan State, who once again is another flop this year. Very disappointing team. But then they beat a decent Indiana team in the Big Ten. Indiana's gone under the radar in the Big Ten because of the big names like Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, and the emergence of Minnesota. But Indiana has had a great season for them, and it was another huge win for Michigan.
Yeah, what Texas A&M is in the SEC right now is that underdog team that could mess up anyone. That's what the Northwestern is. The Iowa. Well, Iowa's ranked now, but Iowa's usually never... They're like iffy on going in and out.
These last 2 years they've been decent.
So there's Northwestern, there's Iowa, and then there's Indiana. Those teams will always give you a run for your money. They're never going to play lightly.
And let me tell you, Michigan walked into Indiana and blew them out. Shea Patterson threw for 366 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Sheesh.
And speaking on how they did against Notre Dame, they blew Notre Dame right out of the waters. And you see how Ohio State got affected when they just did a couple mistakes and they costed 2 fumbles and Penn State was back in the game.
Speaking of the Notre Dame game, let me say something. The Notre Dame game is supposed to be a huge win on Georgia's resume. How close was that game?
The Notre Dame and Georgia game?
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was like a possession or 2, correct? It was no blowout like this Michigan game. So once again, I know it was a
1 possession, yeah.
But come on, guys. Georgia is overrated. They suck. They don't suck, but they are not a top 4 team. I hope that's shown these next few weeks, man.
I mean, I even had Bama at my number 4 spot. I don't think Georgia should be in the playoffs at all. No, I just don't.
Well, that'll get figured out in the next 2 weeks. But yeah, back to Michigan. This team is looking solid, and Ohio State cannot go into this game thinking they're going to walk all over them, because that's not going to happen. Michigan is going to show up with a fight. They're going to be pissed off. They're going to be angry with the results these last few seasons. They're going to want change, and they're going to knock Ohio State's chances just that much, a little bit further down.
And you got to think, Harbaugh, 7 seasons, and he was supposed to be the come-up coach to bring back Michigan football, and he's just let it down. You got to think that he thinks this is the season. It's Ohio State's they're a number 1 team. Number 1 teams get upset all the time. So
all the time. They're just taking a lot more serious.
It's big in these games, though. You got to think. When Ohio State's number 1, though, I'm pretty sure they usually get knocked down most of the time, because they're usually overrated when they're at number 1. This season, I don't think they're overrated.
Season, they're not overrated. That's not at all the case.
But they could have the hot head. I mean, this is like the first season, I think, in a couple of seasons they've been undefeated. They've always had that one trickery loss, so this could possibly be that loss.
After what you were talking about, after looking over the schedule, this is going to be Justin Fields' true first road test of the season, and it couldn't come in a bigger game.
And if Justin Fields performs and the rest of the team also, it's going to be a big statement for the other teams.
Oh, if Justin Fields can perform and they still get the running game and Dobbins going, I don't think this game is going to be that close. But if he starts struggling from the get-go, don't watch Michigan to able to pounce, and they can make this a very, very interesting game going all the way to the end.
Something that I see interesting about Michigan with Shea Patterson, isn't he one of those sort of QBs, kind of like Joe Burrow, not in the passing game, as in a running style. If he sees an open field in front of him, he's going to take it. I feel like this gives us
He
a
can
little.
run a little bit.
Yeah,
He can run a little bit.
Joe Burrow can obviously run a little bit better, but I feel like this gives us a preview on how the Ohio State defense would compare against a Joe Burrow if they ever had to face him.
Speaking of Shea Patterson, he is the key to this game. The first half of the season, when they were struggling, Shea Patterson was struggling. These last 4 games, he has been magnificent. He's been throwing all over and making this offense turn around just like that, not relying on a heavy run game. He's getting all these guys going. He's looking great doing it.
Yeah, honestly, if Shea Patterson doesn't perform, Michigan's not going to perform. If he plays at his peak performance, a chance to upset. But enough with the Michigan-Ohio State game. Let's talk about probably one of the biggest games affecting the Big Ten. Besides that is the Minnesota and Wisconsin game.
Oh, I am looking forward to this game, man. Very, very looking forward to this game.
Right now, Minnesota is the upsetter in this case. They're predicting for Wisconsin to win.
That Minnesota should take that as disrespect because they are the higher seeded team. They have performed better this season, yet they still have Wisconsin, the bigger name, over them. I would be pissed off if I was Minnesota. And Minnesota is home.
Yeah, this game is big. Minnesota hasn't been ranked in a while, and especially this high in the top 10.
Out of nowhere.
So you definitely have to see this team has potential, and Minnesota has Bateman on as a wide receiver. He's one of the craziest. He's definitely going to be a top tier in the NFL. This kid has got some of the craziest grabs.
Don't forget about Tyler Johnson. Tyler Johnson, the senior, is huge this year. He's had 1,025 receiving yards for 10 touchdowns this year. That is great. He's averaging 15.5 yards per reception. That's huge.
The one thing I got to think though for Wisconsin is that isn't a huge favor to them is Taylor. Taylor is gonna be the deciding factor in this game. He is so explosive. Ohio State was able to shut him down. Hopefully they can look at some of the ways Ohio State stopped them, because if Taylor can break through and have a great game, this game is over. I feel like Wisconsin
if they let Taylor have a great game, this game is not going to be close. They have to figure out this Wisconsin run game and stop him. Coming into the season, Jonathan Taylor was one of the favorites for the Heisman. He may have slowed down and taken himself out of this race, but he is still a great player that's going to the NFL. Maybe this year, maybe next, who knows. But he has still had a great season with 1,600 rushing yards and 18 touchdowns with a game to go and possibly more.
All right, so enough with the Minnesota game. I think we're all hyped enough about it. Let's talk about the Texas A&M LSU game. They're not facing a ranked team, yes, like the past 3 we talked about.
They still have to take it serious, though. This is a trap game. They're looking forward to the SEC championship game next week, but you can't look past Texas A&M. This is a young squad that is going to be very good soon and still has the chance of a potential upset here.
Yeah, Texas A&M has the chance to upset LSU and break everything that's going on in the bracket right now. I mean,
now, do we think it happens, though? I don't believe it will. LSU's home. It's in Death Valley.
I believe Texas A&M gives them a scare in the first half or in the first quarter, and after that, I think LSU pulls away with the win.
I think LSU is going to go in there looking ahead to the playoffs. You know, I think they're not going to be. They're going to be like, oh, Texas A&M. Wow, we could just stomp all over them. But I think Texas A&M is going to give them a run for their money, and you know, it's going to be an interesting game.
It all depends on how their quarterback Kellen Mond plays. He's been iffy this season. He's had his games, he's had his moments, but then other times he's just been completely shut down. I also want to see how LSU plays against A&M compared to how Bama and Georgia did. Honestly, we've seen this in the Monday podcast how Georgia didn't do too well against A&M last week. They only won by 6 points.
Yeah, they can give these bigger, Texas A&M can give these bigger ranked teams a run for their money, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do for LSU.
Like Texas A&M, they have performed well against. I mean, I'm looking at their past games right here against Auburn, 8 points, 28-20. Alabama, then when they were the number 1, they lost. That was their only considerable loss. It was 47-28, and then you guys were talking about the Georgia game, 6 points. I feel like they're gonna give. Jimbo is not the type of coach to get blown out. He's gonna bring some fire to the table, especially with this being their last game.
This is, like I said, trap game. If they can catch LSU off guard at the very beginning, this could be a game. A&M is nothing to take lightly, but I think like LSU looking ahead, if they win this game, even if they were to lose the SEC championship game, I think they're still in the top 4. They're without a doubt.
But then
There's not a question in my mind that they'd.
Does that set back, if LSU loses, does that set them back and get them worried and get in their head for this Georgia game?
Yeah.
And
If they lose this game, there's going to be huge implications in the SEC championship game. But that's if they lose. Honestly, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. LSU should surely pull this out. If they don't, college football is going to get crazy in these next few weeks, man.
But let's move on to the Oklahoma State. We got Oklahoma versus Oklahoma State. Basically, what I think is Oklahoma just needs to ride this win out, get it past them, and move on, and hopefully get it away into the top 4.
I think Oklahoma needs a convincing win here because the committee still doesn't know what Oklahoma is. Yes, they have these big wins, but they're not doing it very convincingly. Honestly, they're doing it in a very weird fashion that I don't think is helping them. They show dominance, yet they show times of like lack of. I don't even think of the word. They're so confusing. It's like they just don't bring it 24/7. They don't bring it all the
They're
time.
definitely a second half team for sure.
They just need to bring it all 4 quarters, and they need to do it convincingly because now they need to show the committee they're worthy of being a top 4 team. There are 3 teams ahead of them right now that the committee thinks is better than them, and they need to show that there's not a team better than them, and they deserve to be there. This game is huge, and you can't take this game lightly because, 1, it's a rivalry, so both teams are going to work their ass off, and 2, Oklahoma State is not bad. They are a good team, and they have a dark horse Heisman contender in Hubbard in the backfield. He has 1,800 rushing yards for 20 touchdowns this year. That is huge.
I'm going to help bring us into the NCAA top 4 with this, adding on to this Oklahoma thing, the topic right here. So Oklahoma is ranked 7th right now. And they have to face up against Oklahoma State. So when they win that game, then there's talks that they might have to go up against Baylor again.
Yeah, that's who it'll be. It'll be Baylor. And right now, Baylor is 9. So that is a huge game for Oklahoma because that's a huge ranked team to play. If they win, that'll be huge for the resume and huge for the committee to see.
So this is what I see. I think now Oklahoma has a pretty good chance because of Oregon going down.
Oregon going down killed the Pac-12. Oregon going down, I think, kills Utah's chances. If you want me to be honest with you, a 2-loss Oregon team and the Pac-12 championship will not be that big. Especially, so what did Oregon drop to? 13, 14?
14.
Yes, that's huge. Because when you compare the two in the championship games, Oklahoma's going to get a top 10 win.
I think
if they do win.
I think this also is in benefit for Oklahoma. Utah this week doesn't have a top 25 team to go up against, and then they have to go against Oregon. So if that doesn't bring their schedule to being like they're not facing anybody that Oklahoma is facing. Oklahoma
is adding 2 quality wins, obviously if they win, these next 2 weeks. While, yes, Utah may be adding one in the championship game, but it's only against a top 15.
And I think with Oklahoma, if they beat Oklahoma State, then they go on and they face Baylor and they beat Baylor. And those 2 games, Bama doesn't provide what they need to and show an outstanding game. Georgia loses. I think Oklahoma overtakes that.
I agree. If Alabama does not win convincingly, which they must do, if they win by a touchdown or 2 and Georgia loses and Oklahoma gets both these wins, the committee is going to love these 2 top 15 wins. Well, Oklahoma State's 21, so my bad. Like about top 20. But still, these are 2 quality wins that they gutted out. And Oklahoma is playing on the road at Oklahoma State in a rivalry game, which I think deserves a lot of credit and toughness.
And now I don't feel like Oklahoma needs to do any like major blowouts. They just got to win these games because it doesn't matter. They won the game.
They're quality wins.
Yes.
They're quality wins.
And Utah, I don't think they have any quality. Let me check. They have one,
maybe 1 or 2.
They have
the
one quality.
Pretty weak,
they have
man.
one, and that's Arizona State. And that doesn't really do anything for them because
quality.
Oregon.
I don't even know if you call that quality.
Well, didn't Oregon just lose to Arizona?
Well, yeah, but it doesn't mean it was a quality. I mean, it gives them.
I don't think it helps them at all. I don't think it helps them at all because they're facing a team.
Is that the toughest team they've played this year?
Yeah, they've only had one ranked team, and they were 17, and now the team's not even ranked.
Yeah, they've played Washington. I guess that was somewhat of a decent team. That's another team that underwhelmed a lot this year. But Utah's had a fairly weak schedule, so I don't think that's going to hurt a lot because Oklahoma has played a lot of ranked teams this year.
And now Utah, them beating them, but then also Arizona State beating Oregon, who they're facing in their championship. That kind of, to be honest, I feel like the committee has to look at that and see that hurts them, that team is not as good as the committee thought.
Oh no, like I said, but Oregon is what's really hurting the Pac-12. They're showing the committee that the Pac-12 is not that good, and that Oregon was highly overrated by them. They showed that by dropping them like 8-9 spots.
If you get dropped from 6 to 14, the committee does not value anymore.
No,
they have no shot at, and that probably hurts them pretty hard. So you guys want to segue into the top 4 now with talk about Ohio State?
We've pretty much been in the top 4, but yeah, let's stay out of the 5, 6, 7, 8 for now. I want to get back to that in a second because there's some pretty interesting things that could happen. But let's just talk about the movement between 1 and 2 in the top 4. Ohio State jumping to 1, LSU going to 2. What do you guys think of that?
I think LSU still had the tougher schedule. I think they should be number 1, undoubtedly. They crushed Alabama. They crushed a bunch of other really good teams, and I still think that they should be number 1. No shade thrown to Ohio State because they have had a really tough schedule too. I think LSU just had the tougher schedule.
I 100% agree with you there. LSU has played 4 top 10 teams when they were ranked on their schedule. Obviously, Texas has dropped out, but when they played Texas in the beginning of the season, Texas was 9. They played at number 7 Florida, beat them by 14. Now, the Auburn game they had quite a little bit of a scare with coming out with a 3-point win, but that was still a big game. 123-20, they pulled it out. The next week they played Bama. They ended up winning by 5, but it's because Bama had a late touchdown. It doesn't really matter. They looked pretty convincing against Alabama. That's 4 top 10 wins on their schedule.
Yeah, I think even Ohio State fans were confused at why they were number 1 and not number 2. I think they should have been number 2, and I think that it doesn't really. I mean, it says something, but I still think that at the end of the year, LSU is still going to come out.
Oh yeah, as long as LSU wins the SEC championship, they'll be the number 1 team at the end of the rankings. There's no way they can not have LSU at number 1.
So my take on this is, as an Ohio State fan, and in general, I don't know why the committee did this, but also you got to think the committee has said they're a better, well-rounded team. If it was me on the committee, I would have given LSU the number 1 position because of their strength and their schedule. But I was looking over some things, and when they played Bama, Tua was not 100%, and that game was close. So you gotta feel like I think Bama is
looks pretty convincing, even though the score was a lot closer than it should have been. LSU for the most part looked convincing. They had some slip ups in the second half, but they still won it. They pulled it out, and they looked good doing it. They looked really good doing it.
Yeah, all I have to say about that is even if their quarterback was not at his 100%, their team still was, and they still ended up with that victory.
Oh yeah, you can't blame Al.
Think about this: they were playing the number 2 seed team at the time, with them being number 1, and they still held out their own. They shown that they deserved to be that number 1 team, and I think that they still do. And I don't really think you can hold that against them.
I feel like LSU, in ways, they have the tougher schedule, but to be honest, I feel like there's a little bit of something lacking there. If just from that, I've seen that if Tua is at 100%, I think Bama clean sweeps them in this. I think they win it by a convincing 14-17.
Bama wins that game with a healthy Tua.
A 14-17.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really interesting take. I have not heard many people say that, and I don't think I ever will, because I think LSU is the better team.
I feel like
I agree.
Because they capitalized and they knew Tua was going to be hurt, so they were pressuring him constantly.
Okay, but doesn't that make them the smarter and better team for doing so?
Well, that doesn't really matter. If Tua's 100%, they're not going to play that style. They played with a style of
taking advantage of the situation.
Exactly.
Yeah, they could adapt to whatever
penalize for that.
No, that's what I'm saying. If Tua's 100%,
that Alabama was like, all right, let's throw Tua out there no matter what. Like LSU played what they were. The cards I
even think if Alabama throws in their backup QB in that game, it shakes it up because they didn't do any research on the backup, and if they did, it was minimal. Alabama could have just rammed the ball right down the
I think
field.
throwing Mac Jones into a game against one of the top defenses in the country would have been a good idea, and it would have helped Alabama win.
I feel like it would have mixed it up, and Alabama or LSU wouldn't have known quite as much as what was going on. I feel like Alabama didn't play that game right, and I feel like there's something missing from the LSU team.
That's their own fault.
I feel like if there's a healthy Tua in that game, LSU doesn't play the game the same.
Let's think of it this way. There's no healthy
kind of-
Tua anymore. He's out for the rest of the year. Tua's not a factor anymore.
That's true. But I just feel like LSU, there is that missing factor on that team. There's
And you're
something.
still like kind of contradicting yourself on that, because if they even didn't play their that game quote unquote right, they still ended up on top. So
I'm just
doesn't
saying,
that
I think
kinda-
that they're. Yes, they play the better schedule, but I feel like there's something missing from that team, and there's some pockets. Let's just say.
I think the only reason the committee put Ohio State above this week is it was to reward them for the top 10 win against Penn State, while LSU didn't have a ranked win last week. I get it. They're going week for week, so yeah, maybe.
You can think that, but you could also think that the committee thinks higher of
LSU's
them.
I don't know how, though.
'Cause they
haven't
publicly
played
said it
the
multiple
schedule of
times.
LSU.
I think they
all in
went
all,
LSU and
4
Clemson. I think they
quality
went that
wins.
game.
yeah,
Ohio State has won 3 ranked games. Penn State, okay, good. Wisconsin, good. Michigan State was 25 when they beat them. Michigan State is not a good team. That is not a quality win. They have 2 quality wins on their schedule. Maybe if you count Indiana a quality win, because yes, we did say Indiana was decent. They are decent, but for quality win point, for like rankings, like for like a ranked team, they've played pretty much 2 ranked teams all year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I just feel like this. If Ohio State gets bumped up here, and then they face Michigan, that's another quality win. And then now they both face 2 bowl games that are going to be. They're going to be Ohio State's going to be facing a top 10. LSU's going to be facing a top 5. I feel like the committee, no matter what, is still favor Ohio State because they're facing a top 10 team, and I don't think they'll lose.
LSU better strength of schedule, more quality wins.
The only reason I think that they're going to keep Ohio State up there.
The team that ends up with 5 quality wins, with the last win being a top 5 team, and you don't give them number 1, then what exactly are you looking for? Are you just doing eye tests? Because you've told us different criteria throughout the years all the time, and the eye test was never one of the top ones. It's like 3 or 4 on your rankings. If you put Ohio State above LSU at the end of the year, it's all eye test.
Yeah.
But I'm 100% with that on you. Like how I feel like LSU should be on the top, and I don't know why, but from committee's eyes, I feel like they value Ohio State better, and they will continue to put them up there. Just I feel like this movement right here is showing that they think Ohio State is the better team, or it could also be some sort of a marketing way, and they want to put LSU and Clemson.
I don't look at it. Marketing.
I don't know
I
if
hope it's not marketing. I hope that's never a reason.
Well, it could be, because then if LSU wins, Bama possibly gets in, Ohio State loses to Bama, and they have an SEC rivalry in there. I feel like they're thinking about that, and it could be a reason why. Hopefully it's not, though. Hopefully it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Before we move out of this top 4 talk and move on to a different segment, there's one thing I want to talk about through the 4 through about 8 seed. Imagine this scenario. Okay, Minnesota beats Wisconsin, right? So they go into the Big Ten championship, and say Georgia loses to LSU.
Okay.
So it puts Bama in position for a 4. What if Oklahoma beats Baylor, and Minnesota pulls off the upset against Ohio State? Who is the top 4?
I think if
That
Ohio
is
State,
crazy.
Clemson, or LSU lose, no matter what, they're still in the top. I think the committee will put them all 3 still in the top.
Even Clemson, are you sure about that?
I'm sure because they're the
Clemson would face Virginia Tech or Virginia in their ACC championship. You would give them a spot if they lose to Virginia Tech or Virginia.
The committee sees them as a defending champion, and they still have.
But you can't forget the first rankings. Clemson wasn't in the top 4. Do the committee see highly of this team?
Yeah, that's actually a good point. That I feel like if LSU and Ohio State they lose both their bowl games, I feel like then they might just put a rerun in of Ohio State, Minnesota, and LSU and Georgia.
Can we just talk about where would Bama be in this situation?
I don't think Bama
That
gets
happens,
allowed in.
I think Bama's gone. I think
every other team is shot, and they do a big rematch.
You don't
Oh.
put Oklahoma in.
I don't put Oklahoma in. Who are you gonna
Yeah,
put?
I
Who
don't-
are you gonna
I
put
don't-
him in for?
We're saying all these games are close. We're not saying an air blowout. Let's just say they're all close. You don't think Oklahoma gets put in over someone like Minnesota?
Well, if
Minnesota
they're
beats the
close-
number 1 team.
If they're
That's
close,
true.
I still agree with Cole, and I think
Georgia
that
beats
Ohio
the number
State
2
would be
team.
in there.
I feel like
So what would your rankings be? Who would be the number 1 team?
it'd go Georgia. It would go Georgia.
You're gonna put Georgia all the way at 1?
If Georgia beats
Well,
LSU.
Wait. We
No,
just said
I don't
wait,
even think
my
they should be in
scenario.
there.
What if Georgia loses to
Oh,
LSU?
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Then you
That's
would
what
put
I'm saying. Your 3
LSU,
would be between,
LSU, Minnesota. Or wait, is Clemson still in there?
Yes,
Yeah.
Clemson.
Okay, so
There's not
LSU
Virginia Tech or Virginia.
LSU, then Clemson, Minnesota, Ohio State.
Really?
That's what I
That's
feel like it would be.
interesting. That is very interesting.
What would you
I
guys
have the
pick?
same one, but instead of Ohio State, or instead of Minnesota, I have Bama.
So you think
Still put
Minnesota
Bama.
beats the number 1
Still
team,
think
they don't get
Bama,
allowed
yeah.
in.
They even though they lost, and think about who they lost to.
I
They
know,
lost to
it's
LSU, and it was
But
like
how
a close,
much does
close
strength
loss.
of schedule factor into this?
So what do you have, Dom? What do you have?
It's really tough. Honestly, I forgot to mention Utah, but I didn't mention them because I think they're screwed. I think even if they
I don't
win,
think they
don't
factor
get it
in this
because
at all.
Oregon screwed them. Oregon screwed them. Let's get it real.
Oh, yeah,
Oregon
for sure.
screwed the Pac-12.
Yeah.
So if LSU and Ohio State lose, obviously Clemson has to move up to 1 because they're the only undefeated team left in the country. Then, no, we said LSU wins.
LSU
right?
wins. Only Ohio State loses.
Only Ohio State. Well, then only if Ohio State loses, then yeah, we have LSU, then Clemson. Then I think you have to have Minnesota sneak in because if you keep Ohio State in, you have to put the team in to beat them, right?
Yeah, and then Minnesota has to be the number 3.
Yeah, if they beat them, they can't go below them. Now, say because I might have mixed these up, but say LSU loses too, so that creates chaos with Georgia.
I feel like it's a
too.
big rematch of the 4 teams. If
Well,
both
then what
of
happens?
them lose.
If you have the 4 teams, what happens to Clemson?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to keep Clemson. They're the only undefeated
Georgia
team.
stays in. I feel like Minnesota
Wait,
doesn't.
didn't you say LSU?
I feel like-
so Georgia stays in, and then LSU, Ohio State are somewhere in the mix.
I
Yeah.
thought you said LSU won though.
So
No,
you
he's
so
saying now.
Minnesota,
He's saying now. Okay, here's the scenario. Saying now, Georgia wins, Ohio State loses,
Yes.
Okay.
and that's it. So if Georgia wins, what are your positions? You have Georgia at 1.
No.
Clemson's undefeated.
So you have
Clemson's
Yeah,
Clemson,
Clemson's 1.
Georgia,
Yeah.
LSU, Ohio State.
I just
Okay.
I think the committee does keep Ohio State, but when you think about it, if Minnesota beats Ohio State, they're both 1-loss teams, and head-to-head, Minnesota has the win. Dude, they could sneak in and take the 4 seed from Ohio State.
Okay, but
It's
I
just-
see it as either way. Even if Ohio State does loses, and I don't see Bama losing that game either way. I just don't.
Are you talking about it this week? 'Cause
Yeah,
yeah.
I just don't see them losing that game. So
You're still gonna
I
put
would
Bama in,
put,
aren't you?
I'm,
You're
I'm
gonna put
putting
Bama
Bama
in.
in.
No
Yeah,
Big
I'm
Ten
putting-
teams. No Big Ten
No,
teams.
I'm putting Bama in.
Now, if
Gosh.
there's gonna be a Big Ten team in this, no matter what, there's probably gonna be 2 SEC teams, Bama, or 2 SEC teams,
Okay.
Clemson, and then
Clemson.
a Big Ten team.
Then you guys are gonna hate me for this, but I'm gonna put Bama in there instead of Georgia. They still had the harder schedule.
Not if Georgia wins.
beats
If Georgia
LSU.
wins,
You can't
Georgia's
put Bama
in.
over Georgia.
Oh,
Georgia
they beat
beats
LSU.
Yes, that's what we
Okay,
said.
then
Georgia
I
beats
take
LSU.
LSU out and I put Bama in there.
Wow.
You're gonna take the
Bama
top team
considered
out?
The best team with the most quality wins
Yeah.
out of the top 4.
I think Bama out of all the teams with 1 loss deserves to be in there, and I don't see them
But
losing
LSU
this next.
has the win over
Yeah,
Bama.
LSU has the win over Bama.
Yeah, but
You
I
can't
just
put them
don't.
in. You can't. Bama is not making it in if this scenario happens. Bama is screwed.
Or-
Bama is
Or no,
fucked.
you said Ohio State lost, right?
hmm
Well, yeah, you gonna take
I don't
Ohio
have
State
a-
out?
Yeah,
You
that
can't
was-
take the
yeah,
number 1
that's what
team
I
out. I
meant
don't feel like.
I already said I don't think that they deserve to be number
That's
1.
true.
So
That is very true.
I just don't.
If I were the committee, I too would take Ohio State out because they lost to Minnesota. But the way the committee has looked at them this year, especially after seeing this week's rankings, I don't see them taking Ohio State out.
Yeah, I don't. But I honestly, I feel like Minnesota is probably one of their, from their top tier games. I feel like it's one of their easiest of their top games. I feel like Penn State and Wisconsin, and seeing how Wisconsin does against them, I feel like this is not one of their toughest top tier games.
Okay, so
Just from
Let's
looking
see.
at what Minnesota has, I don't feel like Minnesota has the
Let's say
line to
Georgia.
stop Chase Young and
Oh
that
yeah,
defense.
I don't think that happens either.
It's
Okay,
very,
let's
very
say
unlikely.
the top 3 teams win. Let's say Georgia loses, Bama wins. Would you put Bama in there?
Well,
It depends. It depends
on
about
what happens
Oklahoma.
in the other. Yeah, Oklahoma. If Oklahoma
Really?
wins, I put Oklahoma in.
Yeah, because if
Bama's not in a
Oklahoma
championship
gets a
game.
number,
I'm sorry,
they get a
that's
win
huge.
over
If
number
Bama-
9.
If Bama's not in a championship game and Oklahoma beats 21 Oklahoma State and 9 Baylor, I put them in.
Yeah,
Okay, but what if
because
they don't win?
Bama has to
don't win,
Bama
Bama's
has to win by
fine.
30 plus in order to
Really?
prove their point.
Yes, they have to kill Auburn
Oklahoma has
Which
a
I
really
think they
nice
have the
shot of getting in.
potential to do.
because Oklahoma deserves a spot over Bama at that point because Bama has no accolades besides the Auburn win.
Especially if
You guys
Oklahoma plays how they did in the second half of their game
Bama
against
may
Baylor.
be the better team, but Bama does not deserve it.
They don't
They
have
didn't
they don't
play
have
their
they don't
ball.
have their QB. They have a backup. And however well they do against Auburn, if they do well enough.
I get that
Even-
Bama's a good team. They're a good
Yeah.
team. But after the Tua loss, the committee's already looking down on them. And they have nothing on their schedule that looks quality besides a game or two. So they really screw themselves scheduling this year. And then, like I said, when maybe Oklahoma, yes, they lost to Kansas State, but they're going to have some quality wins. The Big 12 has had many ranked teams this year that Oklahoma has beat. And finishing the season off with 2 ranked wins, you cannot keep Oklahoma out.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's a deciding factor between Oklahoma and Bama, and any upset in the top 4, any of those teams lose is going to be a big change in
Crazy.
everything.
It's going to be crazy.
But I think that's enough for the top 4. I
Yeah,
think we've
let's get to college basketball.
put our mind on that. All right, so you want to talk about the Duke upset now?
Oh my goodness.
Duke loses.
Duke lost. America won Tuesday night, boys.
How? That's my first question. How?
In Cameron Indoor Stadium. Duke hadn't lost to a mid-major team in Cameron Indoor since like 1983.
And this game was close the whole game. This game was just. I don't know how Duke does
I'm
this.
so confused.
Yeah.
Top tier team, and they just. I mean, that gives you an example, though. College basketball, it doesn't matter
It's
what
crazy
the
this
ranking
year.
is.
College basketball is crazy this year.
There's been so many upsets already.
The number 1 team has lost 3 times this year already. 3 times. 2 of them to unranked, no-name teams. Stephen F. Austin, yes, they've been in the tournament as the Cinderella team a few years, but Evansville against Kentucky, never heard of them.
All I'm saying is, already from what I can see here, I have no clue what my bracket's going to look like for March Madness. It is going to be messed up.
no
I don't
idea.
even think it'll be possible for somebody to get close to it.
How about the way Duke lost a buzzer beater fashion on a steal?
Steal fast break? Just and you didn't dunk it or anything. Just a nice solid layup. Like take it.
It looked like he was going to try to put the slam in and realized he had no time to put the slam in.
Or I bet he just went with the safe option.
That's very, very true. But I'm so shocked. Duke's offense, that final possession, looked like they had no idea what they want to do, and they're just trying to force passes. And that forced pass caused the turnover. Stephen F. Austin wanted that ball. They were on the ground. They were scrapping for it. They got it. Duke forgot to play defense and let a guy run right past them all the way to midcourt for a wide-open end-game layup.
And partially what I feel like why this happens is all these teams now are just young. They're just young kids.
Yes, and they don't know what to do.
Like, compared to football, you have 3-4 year players playing. Basketball, it's 1 year and they're done basically
It's
now.
freshmen.
Yeah.
Duke is like 4 freshmen out there with 1 sophomore and Trey Jones.
And
And
these
it
kids are
really
most likely
showed.
on their high school team, the star player. Now they have to share
Yes.
the spotlight with 4 others on the court. It's not the best combo. Coach K has been able to deal with it in the past, but it's definitely affecting all the top tier teams this season.
Duke's starting lineup last night was Tuesday night was 4 freshmen and 1 sophomore.
Yeah.
Well, let's forget about the end of the game where it was the buzzer beater. How about the end of the second half? Duke once again had a chance to end the game there with multiple shots, multiple offensive rebounds, and still couldn't put it away. I don't know if there's a problem with not knowing who to give the rock to in those moments. And like you said, they're all stars, and now they have to figure out who one is. But I feel like Coach K's got to call some timeouts in some of these situations because his team looks lost.
Yeah, because Duke, they didn't play better in the second half. They just
didn't
got
play
out.
better at all.
Yeah,
Even if Austin looked like a great team all game, and Duke just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much more to say than that. Duke maybe just had a little bit of a mishap, but it looks like they weren't really that sound of a team. And Coach K, I bet, is going to be doing some changes on that offense, or he's going to be focusing more on his defense and communication.
The defense hasn't been bad. It's the inexperience that's been killing them, and I think they'll figure that out by the end of the year, like most freshman teams do in college basketball. But right now, this college basketball start is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's been nuts, and and I'll revert back to it. I feel like March Madness is going to be one of the craziest this year, and I don't know how there will be a perfect bracket.
There's no number one team. There's no true number one team right now. Everybody looks like they can be beat.
All right, but let's move off of that.
Yeah, let's move on to the Battle for Atlantis tournament, where today, Thursday night, Michigan upset North Carolina, ranked 6. I watched most of this game, so the first few minutes, North Carolina looked solid. They were knocking down shots. Michigan looked a little shaky. After those first few minutes, Michigan put their foot on the gas pedal and never looked back.
I mean, Michigan's always going to be a solid team.
Oh, yeah.
Always going to be a solid team.
I feel like they were very underrated going into this year as they're unranked right now, but they started off the season 6-0. They're looking good. They just knocked off number 6 North Carolina. Obviously, a top 25 ranking is coming within the next week. Should it?
Yeah, it's definitely over a top 6, and it's Michigan. They're always going to be a top tier team. They're always going to give a fight in anything. So I feel like they have to be put up there.
Yeah, especially against North Carolina, who's supposed to have one of the best players in the country in Cole Anthony. He was the number 2 ranked player in the country, number 1 guard, and he played well tonight. He had 22 points, but Michigan played better, and at times they shut him down. And they looked really impressive. I think, and the start of the second half, Michigan went on a 19-0 run and took a 24-point lead. 24-point lead over the number 6 team with one of the top players in the country.
And they still ended up winning by 10, which is still a convincing lead.
And it was like a 10-point game. So obviously they let down a little bit when they're up 24. That's expected for teams this early. They think it's going to happen, and they might find the other team finally starts having a spark to their offense. But at that point, it's too late, and they just don't have enough time to come back. And Michigan, they looked good.
And you have Michigan. They take down number 6 North Carolina next today, Friday. Who are they going against? Gonzaga, number 8. They win this game. They are definitely going to get put up highly up in. Probably.
Speaking of Gonzaga, they had a game last night too.
Close game, overtime actually.
That Oregon game was. Whew. Gonzaga looked pretty solid. They did, but then, like Michigan did a little bit after their 24-point lead, they let off the gas pedal a little bit, and Oregon took advantage of that because at one point in this game, Oregon was down 17 points. But Gonzaga let them slowly come back.
Yeah, once again in the second quarter or in the second half, they just didn't show up, and if that's what it looked like for Duke. Was North Carolina like that in the second half?
Yeah, the first 8 minutes of the second half, North Carolina had 2 points.
Yeah,
2 points.
I feel like for these big teams, they're coming out strong and finishing terrible. Like.
They get these strong starts, they're taking their opponent lightly, and bang, man. Bang, it's gone.
The team's got a fresh halftime. They're fresh, and they're right back on track with these high-skilled athletes, and these teams are just taking it lightly in the second half, and I think
and you can't take a number 11 team like Oregon lightly. They're a solid team and with one of the top guards in the country, and Peyton Pritchard. He has one of the best shots in the country, and he can make it from just about anywhere on the court.
Yeah, it's definitely you got to perform in both halves. That's why there's 2. And Oh,
Although they took their foot off the gas pedal, they were able to find it a little bit in overtime, I guess, as they only won by 1. And Oregon did have a chance to take the lead. However, Pritchard did miss the shot in the final few seconds, and Gonzaga would come down with the rebound to ultimately finish up the game. So it was a solid 8 versus 11 matchup. It was a really good game as expected. And now looking forward to tomorrow with Gonzaga versus Michigan.
if Gonzaga plays the same way, they lose. Michigan looked solid. If Michigan plays the same way they did last night against North Carolina,
Michigan pulled off the upset, right?
yep, Michigan's going to win this game too. If they play the same pace, same style, they're looking for another top 10 win.
Should be very interesting. Very interesting.
Maybe Gonzaga just had an off night, but it's still they're facing a number 11 team. Michigan's looking like a
Gotta
top
take
tier
it
team,
serious.
so I think it's good on the men's basketball recap though. We're
Yeah,
talking
let's
about
move on to the Turkey Day games.
all right. So what do you got on the Turkey Day games? What are we starting off with the Bears
Where do you
game?
want to start, Colton? Where do you want to start?
Let's start off with the Bears game here. Bears 24-20 against Detroit Lions. Who is it? Third backup QB I think they have now.
It's a lot of them.
Yeah. How do the Bears make it this close when Detroit has a third backup QB in? And honestly,
And he looked pretty impressive.
he looked well for this being his first game. Honestly, I was blown away. I mean, Trubisky.
He looked good starting the game. Let me tell you, they had a nice drive. Started off with a good kick return, and then he had some nice passes with some David Montgomery running to back him up, and they scored a touchdown right off the bat. And I was like, wow, that was a really solid drive. And then the Lions get the ball, and they start with a run for no gain and a pass that was incomplete. And I was like, okay, the Bears looking good. And then out of nowhere, this backup throws a 75-yard bomb to Kenny Galladay wide open down the middle of the field. And it's like, what just happened?
Yeah, and also you got to think Trubisky, as like I've been seeing over the past couple of games in this season compared to last season, he's not throwing the ball far and he's not throwing accurate. And
Not accurate at all.
it's definitely having an effect on his game, and I think teams are picking up on that. He's only throwing slants and short little out passes to the sideline.
I think he's afraid to throw deep because of his accuracy.
I think so. I think he's in his own head right now.
Let me tell you something. After that first drive, the Bears were gone the whole first half, and I was getting scared for them because Detroit, once again, when they got the ball back for their second possession, had another nice drive from the backup, and they scored again, making it 14-7, while the Bears looked like they were falling asleep on offense again like they have for the whole season.
Yeah, the Bears they've got some figuring out to do. This is definitely a good win for them. They got a solid win, or not a solid win, but they got a win that helps them recuperate, make themselves feel better.
Call it solid.
I mean, they're on
sloppy.
It's their second win in a row now, so I mean,
Very sloppy.
that's an
though.
upside for them. But
Comes the final possession. Detroit looked like they were going to drive on that final possession. Luckily for the Bears, their defense showed up. They got a huge sack to force a big 4th and long, forcing an interception and ultimately ending the game.
You got any more topics on the Bears game?
Colton, you got anything to say about the Bears?
So this was one of Trubisky's most accurate games, even though it didn't look like it. He was still like 29 for 38, I think it was, something along those lines, with like 330 yards or something like that. And he still didn't look like he shined. He still looked pretty mediocre. He didn't look
very
good.
weird to say when you only have 9 incompletions, and it wasn't that bad of a game. He had a pretty solid game. It just the second and third quarters, he felt like he just disappeared. Is that what you'd feel?
Yeah, and you can't like say, oh, it was the defense, because they still gave up quite a bit of points. I think it was 17, and they still give up quite a bit of points. So you can't really say, oh, the defense just shined today, because they didn't.
Yeah, and that goes back to earlier what I was talking about with Trubisky this year compared to last year. He's not throwing the long ball, and everything's just inside. I feel like there's something with his game.
However, contradicting the rest of the season, he had a decent game today. Yes, he had a little bit of times where it looked like he was sleeping a little bit, but he took a hard shot in the fourth quarter that should have had a roughing the passer called that was right in front of the ref that was not called, and it was
I think it should have been a helmet to helmet.
Yeah, it was a very obvious that they need to be called. But besides that, he had some wide receivers drop the ball, which it hasn't been much of a problem for Allen Robinson, but for the rest of the team, yes, they have problems dropping it. But for the most part, I would say this is probably Mitchell Trubisky's best game of the year.
Oh yeah, by far.
And how'd you feel about Detroit's third string QB coming out there playing?
I think the Bears might need to make a call in case Trubisky don't work out.
That was a surprise.
What a game played by him.
That.
Yeah, he ended with 22 for 38, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception against the so-called one of the best defenses in the league of the Bears. I would say that's pretty good for your first start. I don't know about you guys.
Him and Galloway.
They
connected on so many large passes, and they were just
Galloway
right on.
had 4 receptions, not too many, but for 158 yards. 158 yards on 4 receptions. Bears defense. You might want to guard him deep.
So, Dom, going back to what you said about the Bears might want to pick him up. What about our Broncos?
Yeah, no. I'm not interested.
He's definitely got some eyes on him now after first game. You show up like that.
That's looking for a QB that's
he's third
borderline
string.
Young.
They have Stafford still. I mean, I think
he's a rookie too, right?
I think he was an undrafted free agent. Yes, and then he became.
Yeah, so take back what I said about borderline young. The dude's still young, so if a team's looking, I think this is going to be another. Who's the Redskins quarterback? Can't think of his name.
Dwayne Haskins.
Cousins. I think it's going to be another Cousins, situation.
Viking quarterback. He's been a Viking quarterback past 2 years.
Okay,
yeah,
I don't really.
It's Haskins.
The
Right?
Redskins have Dwayne Haskins and Case Keenum.
Where he kind of shined. He kind of at his prime. He kind of shined on their RG3, and I think that he's gonna.
I think you're taking a lot from one game. I think this backup has a lot to show before we compare him to anybody with decent success in the NFL.
I don't know. I think
you're really overhyping the man. That's all I gotta say. I need more. All right, enough of the Bears. There was 2 more games tonight, and one of them being the Bills and Cowboys.
This game, the Cowboys just completely. It was a shit show.
Yeah, Cole, tell us about it, Cowboys fan.
I mean, they got fooled on a trick play. Dak wasn't playing well at all in the second half of the game.
Can you tell me something?
What?
Do you really believe Dak is worth the money he says he is?
Honestly, at the beginning, when he first came on the team, he was playing exceptionally well, and I don't know what's going on.
Well, besides that beginning, what has he done? What has he led this team to?
Not really anything.
He hasn't led
He's
him
leading a team that was supposed to be a Super Bowl favorite preseason to a 6-6 record in one of the weakest divisions of football.
I don't know what he's been doing. I don't know why he has plenty enough talent. He's got Cooper for his wide receiver.
What he hasn't been doing.
Yeah.
He's got Elliott in the backfield. He's got a great offensive line. I don't know.
He has a great receiving core. Like Cooper and Gallup are a great 1-2 combo to go to, and he needs to be doing more with it.
Oh yeah, agreed.
But after this game, Cole, I don't know what you think, but I think Jason Garrett is pretty much out of a job.
Yep, he's gone. Yeah. He's gone. It's been in talks 3 years, and Jerry Jones just makes moves now. I'm pretty sure he's pretty fed up with it, and he needs to go. It's time. He hasn't performed at all. Only when he had Romo is when he maybe did something.
That really wasn't anything. The Cowboys want to win a Super Bowl soon, and with Jason Garrett, they are not going to win it ever. But except for bashing the Dallas, let's talk about how Buffalo is still performing pretty well this year. I gave them some love on Monday, saying they've had a great season. Now they're 9-3. They're a playoff team right now. They are looking solid.
They've been a team that I've enjoyed to watch the past 3 years. You know, they're really picking up momentum, and they're becoming a force to be reckoned with. You know.
Yeah, Josh Allen still has some kinks to work out on the offensive side as QB. He still has. He looked really well today. He looked really good.
Yeah.
And they pulled off some good plays, and their defense got a fumble. They pulled a trick play for a touchdown. They're playing well. They're playing smart.
That's
all you need to do to win football.
That's another quarterback I was gonna compare the backup to, because Josh McCown was a backup to trash ass Jay Cutler, So that's another one I was gonna. Yeah.
Josh McCown. Josh
He-
McCown
he's
didn't
a-
play in this game.
No, I'm talking about like back.
Oh.
I was like referring back to when I was
No one
talking
cares
about.
about Josh McCown. He's trash too. He's been on like 50 teams.
Okay.
But
Yeah, but
let's talk about the Saints game.
It's the last game. Saints Falcons. Is that what it was?
I didn't get to
Yeah.
watch this game personally because I decided to eat a second helping of Thanksgiving and I
First
passed out.
sack of the game, 17 yards sack.
For who?
First snap
Saints
of the
or
game.
Falcons? I missed the first
by
couple
the
plays.
by the Saints to the Falcons. They had a 17-yard snap or sack.
So the Saints
on the
sacked
first snap of the
Matt
game.
Ryan.
Yes, the first sack of the game.
Speaking of Matt Ryan, that man was stiff-armed to hell in that game. That was all over Twitter and every other social media that I owned. My God. Don't ever try to make a tackle ever again, Matt Ryan. Your family was probably watching, and they are very, very upset and ashamed and maybe even worried about, are you even alive? Because he fucked you up, dude.
Yeah, we get you through a fat guy. You don't got to be all salty and try to chase him down. Just because you can outrun him doesn't mean you can
You can
outbody
chase
him.
him down, but if you're going to chase him down, you got to make a better attempt than that.
Don't even act like you were gonna tackle him, because what was your plan?
Push him out of bounds, maybe hit his legs, but if you see his arm coming at your face, you got to get out of the way or something, man. He just made he world stars you. Looking at the final score, 26-18, not that impressive of a win for New Orleans, although Falcons have been picking it up these last few weeks. They did get smashed last week, but the last 2 weeks they had some nice wins. But Drew Brees, just 18 for 30, 184 yards. I don't know what happened there.
What do you mean?
18 for 30 for 184 yards and 1 touchdown is not very impressive, if you ask me.
It's decent though. It's not like
It's not that decent.
If you're Drew Brees, it's not that decent.
Yeah, that's very true.
If you're the Detroit Lions backup quarterback, yeah. But if you're Drew Brees, no.
backup quarterback. Just say third.
Yeah, I feel like if they aren't playing,
It sounds way
if
funnier.
they're not playing Atlanta, I feel like they get a little run for their money. Because Atlanta's not performing well at all this year.
Matt Ryan threw 50 passes in this game.
Yikes.
35 for 50, not bad. But he also threw 2
pretty
picks.
bad. He didn't even
2 picks, got 2 TDs.
He completed more than half of them. Do you know how to do math, Colton?
Oh,
35
sorry.
out of
I was,
50.
dude, it's 1 in the morning. It's 2 in the morning. Okay, give me some slack.
Hey, dude, you're going to give us out. We're the 4 a.m. crew, not the 2 a.m. crew.
Yeah, we're probably gonna be recording this shit till fucking 4 a.m.
If this lasts till 4 a.m., we're making those 2 podcasts because I'm not letting people listen to us talk for 3 hours.
But all right, so we covered all of the Thursday Thanksgiving games. Let's talk about
the NFL. Sorry for cutting you off, Cole, but I'm excited for this week. It's looking good. It's looking spicy. How about you start us off? Tell us about the first game we're going to be talking about.
All right, we're just going to run through these, and I'm just going to ask you guys. We'll go back to the games whatever games we're going to run over, but we're just going to run down the list. Who do you guys think they're going to win? Jets, Bengals. Bengals are 0-11, by the way. Who do you guys think is winning this game?
Let's talk about the games that we don't want to talk about, because I don't want to give my upset.
Yeah, obviously the Jets are gonna.
Do you think that? Okay, this is one of my upsets. I think Bengals get their first win of the season here.
Really?
Okay, buddy.
You got the Bengals winning this? The Jets have looked pretty good these last 2 weeks.
What makes the
They're a
Jets
shitty team,
different
but
than
these
the other
last
11?
2 weeks have been really well for the Jets.
Past 2
What makes
games,
the Jets
Bengals
different
have
than the
lost
other
by
11?
6 or 7 points.
Wow.
They
The last
almost-
2 games, the Jets beat the Raiders 34-3 and the Redskins 34-17. Also beat the Giants 34-27.
I feel like the Bengals are coming close to their win. They would have had a win last week, but they.
I
Right
think
at
the
the end.
Bengals' best chance of a win is against the Dolphins in a few weeks. I don't think they get it here against the Jets.
I think Bengals pull off in this one, but
I think they don't. I have to disagree with you on that one, but
I think Mono Sam Darnold is going to play great.
like that one, like what Dom said, let's go ahead and talk about games that we would like to talk about.
All right, I wanna talk about the-
Let's go down the line. Let's keep going down the line.
you want to keep going down the line?
Yeah,
let's keep going
I'm
down the line.
down.
We'll give our predictions for every game,
All right.
and then we'll get more in depth on the games that actually are going to be decent.
Titans
Yeah.
versus Colts. What do you guys got?
That's actually a big game for the division. They're both 6-5, I believe,
Yep.
and Who is at the top of the division there right now? Is it the Texans? Yeah, Texans are 7-4. The other two teams are 6-5. So they're all like neck and neck right now. This is a huge game. The loser is going to be 2 games back. Like it's going to be a huge game. It is in Indy, correct?
Yes, it's in Indy.
Yeah.
And then I will go with Jacoby Brissett and the Colts edging out the Texans this week.
I think I have that as well. I feel like the Colts pull it out at home.
Right,
let's talk about Eagles-Dolphins. I think Eagles. I think
Do we got to talk about it? Did you say Dolphins?
Yeah.
Say Dolphins?
It's at home. It's at home. But...
I don't. Eagles over the Dolphins.
Dolphins
move
just
on.
haven't been
Nothing
performing.
to talk about. Nothing to talk about. Move on.
We were just talking about how the
another
Bengals
game
could beat the
that's probably
Dolphins,
pretty
so.
obvious. Let's talk about Packers-Giants.
Packers, move on.
I think Packers as well. This is a big game. I think for the Browns versus Steelers.
Oh, well, we can talk about this one if we would like to.
Yeah, I want to talk about this game.
Let's get in depth. This is the first meeting since Myles Garrett, and let me tell you, I'm excited. Although I'm a little disappointed because there's no Myles Garrett, and there's also no Mason Rudolph because he's been benched because he sucks.
I feel like Baker Mayfield has been showing out exceptionally.
Baker's my man.
He's been connecting with
I know people
Landry
hate
and with OBJ.
I know he's getting hate, but Baker is my dude. I gotta root for him. I'm hoping this connection keeps going. I'm hoping they go up, be 6-6, and they keep playing for that wild card spot because I want to see the Browns.
I want to see the Browns in the playoffs
and going into the playoffs, man. I want to see it.
I feel like Baker Mayfield is starting to find his rhythm. He's getting his wide receivers great passes. I feel like
wide receiving core is great. Come on, Landry, OBJ. Come on.
Yeah,
they've got a great backfield combo with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who just came back a few weeks ago off of suspension.
Yeah, and
let's not forget Kareem Hunt's amazing season with the Chiefs before he got in trouble.
Their offense is pretty well sound, and if Baker Mayfield can keep pulling it out, I feel like they're going to be a great team and they're going to make a run for the playoffs.
What you think, Colton?
I still got the Browns. I think we all want to see them get that playoff run that they've been hoping for. I just got to root for them.
I like it.
All right, let's move on to the Redskins and Panthers.
Copy.
2 iffy teams. Redskins are 2-9. Panthers haven't been performing well.
I still got the Panthers.
Yeah, I think I still have the Panthers pulling it out, but
aren't a good team.
It could flip because Panthers are not.
The Redskins are coming off a win last week. Where Dwayne Haskins was so excited he forgot he had to take a knee and they had to put the backup in to take the knee. That was interesting. He was too busy taking a photo with the fans. Like, I get it. Take a photo with the fans. It's a great moment. But you might want to take a knee.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely
I think the Panthers win this.
But there's a possibility. There's a possibility because the Panthers haven't been performing well this season.
No, I'm going to have to go with Cole and give it to the Redskins.
Or give it to the Redskins. I don't think Cole actually gave it to the Redskins.
I gave it to the Panthers, but I feel like there's a chance.
You're saying the Redskins are winning.
I kind of want them to.
Okay.
All right.
They're not a team like the Browns. They're not a team that you can hate necessarily. I kind of want them to.
I mean, a lot of people hate the Browns, Colton, especially after the Myles Garrett incident.
I just don't. Well, the Redskins, at least.
Let's move on to the next game. Buccaneers, Jaguars. 2 4-7 teams.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
I'll give it to the Buccaneers.
Why are you gonna give it to the Bucs?
He honestly probably doesn't know.
I really
don't know who I want to pick.
Cooler jerseys, I guess. I don't know. I can't really give you
cooler jerseys. Here we go. This is like a girl doing a March Madness bracket for the first time. I like their uniforms.
Yeah, I can't really give you a solid answer on that one. I don't think anybody can.
My prediction, I'm just gonna go with Jaguars. Why? Not really sure. They looked like shit last week. No, they looked like shit last week. Nick Foles coming back. Big Nick. That's my dude. That's probably why I'm picking him. I like Big Dick Nick. He beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Yeah, he beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. I always got to go with my man, Big Dick. Let's go, Nick.
I'm just gonna go with the Buccaneers. It can go either way. I'm not really too sure who's gonna win that game. It'll go either way, but big game of the week. 49ers, Ravens.
Woo! 49ers.
I see, baby.
I got the Ravens.
Wow, you want that upset, huh?
Before we give these predictions,
it's not an upset. It's not an upset. Ravens are predicted to win.
Let's just talk about this game. This is going to be insane, man. This could be a preview to the Super Bowl.
Right now, I think this is I would say, two best teams right now going at each other.
Oh, by far. 49ers proved that last week. They're a top 2 team, and the Ravens proved they're a top 2 team by beating the Patriots a few weeks ago. These are the top 2 teams in the NFL. Possible preview of the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson versus the 49ers' elite defense, and Jimmy G trying to show himself as an elite quarterback that can get this team to the next level against a solid Ravens defense.
I think the Ravens, with the path they've been on, their offense has been amazing. I don't see it stopping here, and I see them just winning this game. It's going to be close, but I definitely feel like the Ravens are going to pull out because their offense has just been stellar this season.
What do you think, Colton?
I have to give it to the 49ers. It's just been looking better all year round, and there's no, like Cole said, there's no reason that they should stop here.
You think they're going to overtake?
I agree with Colton.
You both think they're going to overtake the Ravens on
I believe the 49ers right now are the best team in the NFL. Lamar Jackson's look great. I want to see what happens when he runs to the elite defense of the 49ers. I think they slow him down for the first time all year. He stumbles. The Ravens get a loss. It's not going to hurt him too much. It may hurt them trying to get a number 1 seed as the Patriots still only have 1 loss. But I have the 49ers pulling this out, getting that W, and further cementing themselves as the best team in the NFL right now.
I have a different opinion. I feel like the Ravens are going to play well. Their offense has been
but they can't just play well against the 49ers.
The 49ers.
That's true.
They have to play great.
Well, these last few weeks they've played great. They've scored about 40 plus points.
I think they're going to play on what they've been playing, and I feel like their defense is going to withhold, and I feel like they're going to be fine.
All right.
Let's move on to the Rams-Cardinals.
That's interesting.
I got Rams in this. Cardinals haven't been looking well at all this season, really.
I mean, have the Rams though? They're 6-5, coming off a really shitty game against the Ravens. Pretty much.
Yeah, but you got to think they just got blown out at home. They got blown out at home.
You got to also think.
Well, let me tell you something. The Rams don't really have a home game, man. I've heard this many times. The Rams fans do not show up in LA. It's all opposing teams because LA's fan base for football is just not that great.
Yeah.
Should have stayed in St. Louis. Do I have the Cardinals upsetting? No, but I feel like it's going to be a lot closer game than most people expect. I just don't think the Cardinals have what it takes to be capable of upsetting the Rams, even though they're having an off year.
Colton, what do you think?
I'm going to have to go ahead and give it to the Rams. You know, like Dom said, they're just. I don't see the Cardinals beating them.
I have that same opinion. I think the Rams just pull it out after their blowout loss. Chargers, Broncos.
Can we not talk about the Broncos, man? It really hurts my heart that they still fucking suck.
I'm gonna go with the Chargers because the Broncos just
anybody that doesn't know.
They're not.
You know, they don't have Joe Flacco, which I mean, obviously, who gives a fuck? But that's still gonna hurt them even more than they've already been fucking hurt. So I don't. The Broncos are gonna lose, sadly.
Chargers, Broncos. I mean, both teams have been shit this year. Phillip Rivers, I don't know what happened. You had a great year last year, making your team in the playoffs and looking like a hot, great Chargers team. This year, it's the exact fucking opposite. Your ship is sinking, although it's not going to sink as fast this week because you're going to beat the even faster sinking ship of the Denver Broncos. It's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a super sloppy game. It could be close. I don't know. The Broncos showed some promise a few weeks ago. Then they played the Bills last week and looked like absolute shit. So, honestly, I don't really know what to expect out of this game, but I feel like the Chargers will pull out whatever happens.
I believe that too. I believe the Chargers will pull out, but let's move on to a little bit of a better game. This game should be good. Raiders, Chiefs. Honestly, I feel like the Raiders have been playing pretty well this past couple of games. Been kind of solid, but then also they got blown out by the Jets. Other than the Jets.
Yeah, they looked good until they ran to the fucking Jets, and I don't know what the fuck happened there, man.
Yeah, you can't really say much. They just got blown out, but before that game, they've been playing pretty well. I have the Raiders over the Chiefs in this.
Really?
Yes.
We have the Raiders upsetting the Chiefs. Is it at Arrowhead Stadium for Kansas City?
Yes, it is.
No way they lose. No fucking way they lose. On the road in the black hole, maybe. At home, no. Patty Mahomes and the Chiefs get it done. At home in front of the crowd. Raiders, they probably beat them. I'd say a 2-touchdown game. 2 touchdowns, yeah.
You think the Raiders are going to win?
No, Chiefs. I just said Chiefs. I said
Chiefs.
Patty Mahomes takes home.
I thought you just said the Raiders were going to win by 2 touchdowns.
No, my bad for sounding like that. But yeah, Chiefs take it home, 2-touchdown game.
All right, Colton, what do you think on this?
I'm gonna have to agree with Dom. I like what he said. Patty Mahomes takes it home. I'm gonna just have to agree with him.
All right,
yeah, I like that. I like that.
I have Raiders. I have the Raiders taking the Chiefs at home, but
that's an upset that I don't agree with at all.
Okay.
Yeah, nah.
I mean, I get the Raiders. They've had a decent year this year, yeah, but still don't think they're at that level to where they're beating better teams that have playoff hopes. Because
you like on the road upsets, don't you?
Yeah, but I mean, it's this week. I believe in those teams. I mean, it's just.
All right.
Let's go with
next one?
Patriots versus Texans.
Woo, this one's a spicy game. Not many people might think it, but I am thinking big things for this game. I'll start off with what I think. You know what? I'm gonna say my prediction right off the gate. Texans are winning this game.
Whoa. Okay. I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, you disagree, but let me tell you why. Okay. First of all, Patriots. We just saw them pull off a really sloppy win against the Cowboys last week by 3 points. I just saw this week the Cowboys aren't very good. Patriots have been playing average football these last few weeks and pulling out wins. So I'm going to give them credit for that. They've been pulling out the wins. And the Texans haven't been the greatest team they can possibly be. But let me tell you something. At 7-4 in a division race that's one game right now, the Texans need this win way more than the Patriots. They're going to be way more excited and ready for this game. It's home. It's prime time Sunday night football. Deshaun Watson is going to come out, and if he can run the ball like the problems Lamar Jackson gave them 3 weeks ago, this could be an upset for disaster for New England's defense.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, I am too. I feel like the Patriots, even though with that sloppy play against Dallas last week, they're still a solid team, and I feel like they'll just pull right through this like they usually have.
And they haven't really been playing non-sloppy all year, but they still pull out those wins. So, like Dom said, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and disagree with you there, Dom.
All right.
So you agree with me on the sloppiness, but don't agree on the winner.
No, I said that I agree that they've been playing kind of sloppy, but they've still been pulling out. But they've still been pulling out those wins. I know, that's why I said I agree with you, on that part.
No, but then I said, do you agree that the sloppiness is bad, but you don't agree on who I picked to win?
I agree. I think that the sloppiness is sloppiness.
Okay, well, we got
it. That it doesn't matter that if it's fine.
I understand what you're saying now. We're good.
Yeah.
All right. And let's talk about Vikings and Seahawks for Monday night.
Great game. I'm thinking it's going to be a great game.
I see Seahawks giving them, since they just recently gave 49ers their first loss. Seahawks have been playing very well. So have the Vikings though, but Seahawks have been on another level.
No, I'm gonna have to go ahead and pull a Cole here and give it an upset, or I don't know if it's necessarily an upset, but give a away team victory. I'm gonna give it to the Vikings. I think that, like he said, they've been playing well. So like he said, so have the Seahawks, but I think that the Vikings have been playing slightly better, I guess. But I'm still gonna go ahead and say that the Vikings pull out a victory on this one.
Cole, unfortunately for you, you're going to be on your own on this one because I'm going to agree with Cole. This is not going to be very close. It should be. The Vikings are a decent team, but Cole is right. The Seahawks are a great team. They're not good. They're great. They have 2 losses, one of them being against the Ravens and the other being against Drew Brees and the Saints. Those are 2 great losses.
Yeah.
They beat the 49ers. Russell Wilson is one of the top contenders for the MVP this season. They're at home with the 12th man, one of the most dominant crowds in all of football. Like I just can't see the Vikings and Kirk Cousins. I'm
taking
not
a
very
road
impressed
trip
by
too.
him.
I don't see them on the road either.
Dalvin Cook, great running back. Kirk Cousins, with the contract he has, is not playing to his potential. He's been showing up a little bit the last couple of weeks, but he's about to run into a Seattle Seahawks defense and team that is going to put him on his ass.
Okay, I'll admit my opinion was a little bit biased because I'm not the biggest Seahawks fan, but I still think that it, like how the Vikings have been playing well these past few weeks, I think that they have a chance, and if they have a chance, I'm going to root against the Seahawks. So,
right.
Well, that's not very smart because you're going to lose. So that's fine. But all these previews are fine. But we're going to go move on to the final segment of our podcast, which is the upset of the week. Now, we've given some of our upsets, but here we're going to pick the one of the week and go a little more into depth of why we think it's going to happen. So, Colton, do you want to start with your upsets this week?
I'm going to go ahead and let Cole start off. I kind of I want to hear his stuff.
Okay.
All right, are we talking NFL only?
He wants to hear you.
Are we talking NFL only right now? Or are we talking our college games?
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd actually want to start with the NCAA. Get that out of the way so we can go with the big dogs, the NFL after.
All right.
Okay.
NCAA. I got to go with Bama. I feel like is going to lose. I feel like Auburn is taking the win in this.
Come on, man.
Auburn is at
a big
home.
one.
Auburn is at home.
Okay.
And Bama has the backup QB in with only one game played. I don't think Bama goes on the road against Auburn and takes that win. I don't think there's enough skill there in the quarterback position right now. I don't see it happening.
I know that quarterback's not great, but they have a great wide receiving core, man. Great. They have some of the top wide receivers in the country who will be first, second round draft picks in the near future. I don't see that upset happening, but you know what? I like the pick. I respect it. It's a possibility with what you just said. I agree. I just can't see Alabama losing here.
Alabama needs to win, so we'll see in that. Right.
Yeah, Colton, what do you think about the college football upset? What do you got?
So I say that the first three rankings stay in, and then I got Georgia getting blasted. You know, I got them getting. I got them
losing to Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I got them taking the L. You know?
Got them losing to
Georgia Tech.
Yeah,
Georgia's a 28-point favorite, and Georgia Tech's 3-8. You have Georgia losing?
Yeah.
I am not on that.
This happens, I'll give you $5. I'd give you more if I was rich, but I'm not rich. I'll give you $5 if this happens because it's not happening.
I don't remember the last time Georgia has lost to Georgia Tech.
I don't know the last time that happened either because let me tell you, Georgia Tech's 3-8.
All right, let's move on from that.
28-point favorites, Colton.
Let's definitely move on from that.
You're not even explaining that because there's no point. I don't know how you can explain that. My upset of the week, college football. Minnesota over Wisconsin. Now, some people may say it's not upset, but it is. Even though Minnesota is the higher-ranked team, Wisconsin is favored to win this game, and I feel like that is going to piss the living shit out of Minnesota. Like, they're going to be pissed. They have done so much this year. They've proved everyone wrong. They've proved all the doubters wrong. They've overachieved nearly in every aspect this season. They are one win away from going to the Big Ten championship, let me tell you. And yet, they're still not getting the attention they deserve. Like, they beat Penn State, guys. Like, that's huge.
Yeah, I definitely see that Minnesota should be pissed about this. They are the better team. They've been performing better.
They're the home team, too, and they're still not getting talked about. They're still getting the shitty end of the stick by being told you're not going to win to the bigger name Wisconsin because you're not Wisconsin. You're not this team that's been dominant in the Big Ten for the last years. You're coming out of nowhere. We don't believe in you. And that is motivation for Minnesota. Minnesota will win this game, and they will win it very handedly, I believe. I think they can shut down Jonathan Taylor, and if they do, they win this game by 14.
Yeah, Minnesota lost to Iowa, and now they're off that game. They got a nice, solid win over Northwestern.
I don't find that bad of a loss because playing in Iowa is tough, dude.
Iowa's a tough team, even especially at home. And then now they bounce back and beat Northwestern. I feel like they've gotten that pissed attitude off their shoulder, and they're ready to just scroll right through teams again. And I see them at home.
I see this coming. I see this upset coming. I think Wisconsin finds himself the better team, and they will walk into this thinking they're the better team. Even though they have 2 losses, I still think Wisconsin, because of their name, think they are the better team, and they think Minnesota is a fake team, and Minnesota's not fake. They're legit. They're winning this game.
And I also hope for Minnesota to win this because I want to see Minnesota go up against Ohio State because we've already seen Wisconsin versus Ohio State. Ohio State has blown out them at home. And
give me something new.
And Ohio State's always performing very well in the Big Ten Championship. So I want to see Minnesota in there. I haven't been in there for quite a long time. I think that's it for our upsets, I think. You guys got any more for college?
College, yep. Let's get to the NFL. Get to the big dogs, Cole.
All right, NFL. Browns and Steelers. I see this as an upset in the case that I think everybody feels like the Steelers are going to win.
You think so? You think people think the Steelers are going to win?
I think so. I think they're not really on board yet with everything going on in Cleveland. I feel like they're just not on right there for Baker Mayfield. I feel like they still think he's a little young and the offense isn't there. I believe it's there, but I feel like the Browns should win this, even though everybody has favored for the Steelers besides ESPN, but I feel like a lot of people believe the Steelers will win this.
All right.
What do you got?
I actually have 2 now that I think about it. Because looking at the spread, 2 of the teams that I think will win are supposed to lose. And I'm going to start with the one that I talked about. I talked about both of them, but I talked about in depth more than the other one, and that's Texans over Patriots.
I don't see it.
Patriots are coming off a couple sloppy games, not playing their best football. Texans need to win more. Texans are winning it. It's just that simple. Second, 49ers over the Ravens. It is an upset no matter what. The 49ers have a better record, but the spread has Baltimore 5.5.
You think 49ers are coming in Ravens' home turf and taking it?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, without a doubt. Dude, that 49ers defense is great. Bosa is amazing. He's played lights out this year. The whole defense as a unit is just all around amazing, and I really want to watch this game because I feel like the 49ers pull it out. Do I think it's going to be a blowout? No. I don't think their offense is capable of a blowout, but I think their offense is capable enough of scoring more points than the defense lets up.
All right, and I want to talk about one of the other upsets that I had. Bengals-Jets. Bengals are going to get their first win. Bengals are going to take it. It's my wild card pick. Bengals are they came close their past 2 games.
I don't even know who the Bengals quarterback is. They benched Dalton a few weeks ago. I don't even know who their quarterback is. Do you even know who their quarterback is? Do you know who their quarterback is, Cole? Because I couldn't tell you at the top of my head.
Okay, the Bengals are going to pull it out. They're going to get the victory. Not really too sure who the quarterback is, but I know they've been close these past couple of games. Hold
on. Take my words back. I just read from ESPN in their preview article, the Bengals have dumped their rookie and returned to Andy Dalton. Oh, shit. The Redhead's back, boys.
I feel like Bengals have been close these past couple of games. I think they pull it out. Colton, what do you got for yours?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and pull the Dom and change my words, not on that, but on my good old Denver Broncos. I think they're going to – the Chargers are 4-7, you know. They haven't really shined as like Dom said earlier. They're both dog shit, but I'm going to go ahead and give my Broncos their 4th win here. And, you know, I want
hope it happens, Colt. Let me tell you, I want
the Chargers to know how it tastes to be 4-8, and I want the Broncos to know how it tastes to get a 4th win and still be 4-8. You know, so it's a win-win situation there.
Hey, that win will put the Broncos at 3rd in the AFC West instead of 4th. How does that sound?
And it sounds pretty.
It's still
pretty damn trash, but you know it's better than what they are. So go ahead and give my Broncos a dub there and see how it goes.
I think we've talked pretty long on this podcast. Got all of our opinions out there on everything we have. You guys got any final thoughts before I close it out?
I have one final thought.
Shoot it.
Okay.
Soccer's for pussies.
Yep, that's our motto out here on the 4am.
Not really a thought. It's more of a fact, but
true. Dom's fact of the day Soccer is for pussies.
All right,
Don't
that's
watch
gonna
it.
be a
Don't
that's
play
gonna
it.
be a new segment
Stick to
here at
football,
the end
kids.
of our podcast, Dom's Fact for the Day, and this one is soccer is for pussies. Okay.
All right, I'm gonna give it out here. Had a pretty good podcast, said all of our opinions. I think we spoke pretty well on it. Felt like personally this is one of our better podcasts. We've just kind of been putting out more and more. Just feeling the vibe and having a little bit more fun with it. But here, be sure to follow us on Twitter at the 4am Crew Pod, Instagram at the 4am Crew Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating. Make sure on YouTube you guys are subscribing. That'd be nice. And you guys got anything else to add?
Be active.
Not really.
You know,
Be active.
Be active on Twitter. We will read and respond to you guys.
Okay, that sounds a lot better. At first you said be active. I thought you were telling me to do fitness. I was like, Colton, are you active?
Yeah, do fitness unless it's soccer. Soccer is for pussies. But
sure.
You know, just be active in the comments. Be active on Twitter, on Instagram, and we will. We all are in control of all of it, so we all will do our best to reply to your comments and even maybe give you a shout out in the podcast. You know, you never know.
But hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you guys have a great weekend leading into everything. It's been the 4am Crew Podcast. Dom, Cole, and
before signing off, when's the next time they're going to hear from us, Cole? When's the next time they're going to hear from us?
Next time you guys will hear from us is after the weekend is over. You guys will hear from us Tuesday. We will be giving a recap of all the sports that has happened over the weekend.
Basically making ourselves look like either really smart people or really dumb, big dumbasses.
We'll see if any of these upsets actually happen, and we'll see if there's any changes in the top 4 for
the Broncos
for NCAA football. But yeah, it's been Cole, Dom, and Colton. We'll see you guys in the next episode.